How much money have we helped you generate by implementing the YouTube sales funnel and everything else across the board that we've done?
We were looking at the numbers, $235,000 generated in, how many months? February, March, April, maybe 6 months.
7 months max.
Yeah. 95% of that revenue was generated and attributed to YouTube.
How long did it start to see any kind of result come in?
Well, instantly. Pretty much, you know, and keep in mind this YouTube channel was started from nothing at the time when we launched this, probably less than 100 subscribers.
The actual channel right now is sitting under 1,000 subscribers. What is your average view count per video?
It's like 200 to 300.
We booked 166 calls, 115 showed. That's a 70% show rate. 88% of them had an offer made, so they were deemed qualified. We closed at a 56% close rate. That's this guy right here.
People are focused on just getting views for no reason. And if you do that, there's gonna be a couple things that happen. One, that you attract the wrong audience.
I want people to have an idea of what it actually takes to do that.
If you, I don't care who you are, like if you're saying in your head, oh, I don't have time for this, I don't know what to tell you. That just doesn't exist. Like what, you don't have time to breathe? It takes no time. Like.
All right, we're gonna get right to the point. Kade, how much money have we helped you generate by implementing the YouTube sales funnel and everything else across the board that we've done?
We were looking at the numbers, $235,000 generated in, what was that? Since basically February is when it starts. So how many months? February, March, April, maybe 6 months. Yeah.
7 months max.
Yeah.
So, and I want to reverse those stats because it's one thing to throw out a crazy number, but if you see these stats, you're going to see why that's even crazier. Some people might not think that's a crazy number either, to be fair, but we booked 166 calls, 115 showed. That's a 70% show rate. 88% of them had an offer made, so they were deemed qualified. We closed at a 56% close rate. That's this guy right here. So those are the numbers for what we did. I just want to talk about exactly how we did that now that you know like what we're actually talking about, the stakes here. So let's get into it and let's say like what did we do to help you do that? What did we implement?
Well, it all started with YouTube. That's the main thing. YouTube has been the funnel thus far. Entirely organic, not a single, you know, really, I mean, actually that's not true. We ran a brief webinar, but 95% of that revenue was generated and attributed to YouTube. That's the only place for the most part that these calls have been booked. Like I have the links, you know, on short form platforms like TikTok and stuff like that, but there's not even a place for people to book a call on short form traffic. So they can literally only book a sales call through YouTube, which is just insane.
And to be fair too, I want to say that like a huge part of that, you know, funneling people to the YouTube has been taking your most successful students, running with your method because you're doing TikTok shop affiliate coaching. So these are like killer affiliates on TikTok. They really know how to make traffic, drive conversions, get just a lot of money generated. And so what they're actually doing is they're acting as affiliates for the coaching program, but they're all funneling to the YouTube and ultimately booking a call through that, not necessarily through a landing page VSL, although we do have that, and did set that up. So to be fair, we also implemented a newsletter so that we're getting people that, hey, look, if they're not ready to book, but they're watching the YouTube, not only can they subscribe to the channel and see more videos, but we're gonna hammer them with about 5 emails per week, Monday through Friday. So that's like the gist of what we're doing on organic. What can you say about the timeline of that process? How long did it start to see any kind of result come in?
Well, instantly. Pretty much, you know, I think we talked about this in the initial interview, is like when I paid Adam for all this kind of stuff, you know, all kind of started with YouTube, which was the backbone of all this. You can't do all this other stuff without all these small pieces, but YouTube is the backbone of all of it. And I said, when I started, I was like, hey, even if I don't make a single dollar, yeah, I paid him up front for like 6 months. And I was like, hey, even if I don't make a dollar of these over these 6 months, I'm cool with that. And then what do you know, we just threw up like a Calendly link in the description of the YouTube video. And within a week, I mean, keep in mind, this YouTube channel was started from nothing at the time when we launched this, probably less than 100 subscribers.
I think there was 40, maybe, I mean, maybe as much as 100, but I think it was 40. For context, like this was a brand new channel. However, so the first one actually went out in January on your birthday from like our actual 6 months, right at the like almost the middle of the month beginning. But before this, before Kade approached me and was like, let's do 6 months of YouTube, we ended up doing 1 or 2 videos together as a test. You didn't have an offer, you didn't have coaching set up, but we were just friends and we met through other stuff, and I knew he was onto something with his affiliate stuff. And I knew he didn't really have an offer or might not even spin up a business teaching people how to do it. But I just wanted something like that in my portfolio. And I thought it would just be cool to kind of help you out and see what would happen. So we did a 1 to 1.5 hour long free course video.
That was the first one.
I helped you put that together. And then we did 1 or 2 others to kind of like support that. And those were posted in August of 2024. So those sat there for about 4 months. And that was enough to kind of kickstart the channel, and you got your first less than 100 subscribers. So that was like with our help too, but we were driving them anywhere. So the real start was in January. And then, like I said, pretty much immediately. When was your actual first close? Do you know the date? Or
it was the very end of January. I want to say like January 27th or something like that. I remember texting him specifically because, again, keep in mind 3 weeks ago when I paid him, I was like, yeah, if I don't make $1, I'm cool with it. Which is kind of hilarious to think about now, how quickly things have escalated and turns into this conglomerate of an operation. But I remember texting him when that first sales call was booked. I was like, wait, what? Somebody actually booked a call? This simple little Calendly link, no funnel, no VSL, nothing. Just YouTube was the only thing. So then I hopped on that sales call and $3K, paid him full. And I texted him, I was like, no way, first sale. And at that moment, it was like off to the races, like I finally see it now. And again, all of it came from the YouTube. There's no selling anywhere else. So just watch the brief amount of YouTube content that was on there. And it was a very quick sales call. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but like there was not a single objection handled. There was no objection. There was no nothing. Like I think the sales call might have been 15-ish, maybe 17-ish minutes long. And yeah, like you just don't have someone to show up to a call if they're not completely already warmed up, which YouTube was the warm-up mechanism. It is the greatest sales asset you can ever have, and it's not even close. And I consistently hear that across the board.
So before we get into more of the specifics of like logistically what that looks like to run this channel and some of that stuff, I wanted to dive into the YouTube stats too. So the actual channel right now is sitting under 1,000 subscribers. So we're almost there since launching in January. At the time of filming this, the beginning of September of 2025. So what is your average view count per video? Like how fast is it growing? What kind of numbers are you seeing on the videos?
It's like 200 to 300. It's slowly climbing. I've seen with YouTube, it seems like the more it compounds, like your baseline starts to rise. So like when we started, the baseline views were, I think, under 100, kind of in the beginning. They were under 100. And still to this day, the very first video that we launched, the free course video, I think it's almost at 2K views. So like that just keeps climbing. That was work that I did a year ago, basically, at this point. But yeah, it started under 100 per video. Now it's rised up to like 200 to 300, but still, like I have maybe 1 or 2 videos over 1,000 views, nothing crazy. It's just the content that you put out, not, you know, really any vlog garbage or anything that doesn't actually move the needle forward in terms of just like the sales process.
Yeah, so I looked at those numbers too, and we gave the year at the beginning, but your 90-day average, not counting like the first week of this month, is 49K per month.
Wow.
And that is still under 1,000 subscribers, with most videos getting 200, 250 views. So what do you think that the core takeaway from that for people should be?
Is so many people are focused on just getting views for no reason. And if you do that, there's going to be a couple things that happen. One, that you attract the wrong audience. Like you got to be very purposeful with the people that you're bringing in. So if you're bringing in these super top of funnel videos, and there's a time and place for everything. But if you start with this basic information, you're going to attract a basic audience, and that's not going to be probably what's going to actually get people to buy and actually help them and be interested in whatever you're offering, whatever that may be. So being very specific with who you're targeting, speak to the people that you're trying to speak to, and not just optimizing for 500,000 views just for the sake of it.
Logistically, what did it look like on your end for this entire process so far? Maybe you could talk about how it might have evolved or changed a little bit, but I want people to have an idea of what it actually takes to do that.
if you, I don't care who you are, like if you're saying in your head, oh, I don't have time for this, I don't know what to tell you. It just doesn't exist. Like what, you don't have time to breathe? Because it's like, it takes no time. Like, you know, from them helping with the ideation and the framework of where you're taking it. Like, so it's structured, but not too structured where it's like, you feel like a robot talking to the camera. So to have the ideas, have them come up with the ideas, the filming gets taken care of. And then once you're done the filming, I don't touch it. It's always a good feeling. Like still today, I just looked up, I was like, oh, there's a YouTube video posted today, sweet. I don't even remember filming that one. That was like a month ago, but to be able to not have to do anything with the thumbnail, the title, it's like if you're running a business or, you know, trying to do other things, like extremely busy. So the fact that I don't have to think about any of that while that being the main revenue driver is everything. So if you're saying like, oh, I don't have time, that's not a real excuse.
Yeah. To be clear too, that the 3 core pillars of the YouTube sales funnel that we handle for people, it's the ideation, that's the research process, figuring out what type of strategy to run. It is the scripting and actually putting together, like you said, not a robotic script, but more of a framework for how to do the video and make sure that it converts well and you don't get lost. But you know, you still have the freedom to share your expertise. And then that 3rd pillar is all of the post-production, thumbnail, title, done for you posting, SEO, editing, obviously, all of that stuff. So let's talk about the volume of content, where we started and where we are, just so people understand like how much we're doing on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so for the first many months, I was like 4 or 5 or something like that, I can't remember. We did 1 per week. So again, it was quality more than quantity. It's not the point of just throwing up a video for the sake of throwing up a video. It's very purposeful with what we're saying, who we're trying to attract, and just making good videos that people care about and wanna come back to is the most important part. So we were doing 1 a week for most of it. Now recently we've ramped up to 2 per week because we're at a point where like, okay, we can see how if you increase the input, the output and the results are going to substantially increase, which we have seen a huge bump since we upped to 2 times per week. But in the beginning, it was 1 per week. And I felt that was a good pace in the beginning, especially as you're getting used to filming. Like now we can rip out, I can rip out a bunch of YouTube videos in 1 day. I can do a month's worth of YouTube videos in 1 day. So getting better at it, being able to talk to the camera better. But in the beginning, it's still not too much where it's like there's no reason you can't do all of a month's worth of YouTube work that you need to do in your end and then hand it off to them and be done with it all in a day.
Let's dive into, without getting too technical, but just like an overview of the strategy. From your perspective, what is the most effective type of video that we make or types of videos? And what have you seen personally that was like, man, I'm so glad we did that video, or I'm glad we ran with that part of the strategy?
Well, obviously you got to have your super educational videos because I mean, this is for, info coaching, but it's still relevant to like other businesses. Like you just have to post videos that are kind of targeted. So like you, again, want to speak to the people that you're trying to speak to. So the biggest thing was the free course. That was one of the best ones we've done to this day still. And I just recorded that on my webcam. There was no production quality in that whatsoever. It was just a webcam. It's really bad quality in terms of filming, which is my fault entirely. But outside of that, like the quality of the video is still there. So that's approaching like 2K views. But other than that, seeing like the case studies are a big thing and just being relatable and stuff like that. But those are the big ones, like the most valuable videos are the one that drive the most revenue. And then therefore they also, move the needle the most.
Cool. And logistically too, so people understand, I do not do this for every client. Totally depends on the situation, but I am coming out there in person as well and filming it. So to what you said a minute ago about like being able to record 8 videos in a day, maybe not everybody could do that.
I also talk to a camera every single day.
Yeah. This guy might make content for a living, maybe not. But what do you think personally has been, out of anything in the process, like anything that we handled, it could be something we didn't even talk about, what are you most glad that is just like you don't have to think about?
I hate editing with a passion. I like, even when I do like TikTok stuff, it's just like, God, editing is the bane of my existence. So the fact that I don't even have to think about that, or like the thumbnail and stuff like that, like I enjoy like coming up with like things to say, but more so like the technical stuff, like editing, thumbnail, like even the posting, like upload, doing all these different things with files, and it just drives me crazy. So being able to just once, you know, the footage is over to you guys, all of a sudden the video is magically up a couple weeks later or whatever the schedule is. So just, it doesn't even exist in my mind anymore. Like I literally I'll see videos like, oh, I forgot we filmed that one. That was a great video. So that is very relieving, where it's just like I don't have to deal with literally anything regarding, while still knowing it's going to be a quality video. Like I don't even know, like, I'm not like, oh, hey, send me this video before you post it so I can quality check it. It's just like, oh, the video's up. Cool. Looks great.
Yeah, I want to talk too broadly about YouTube and your perception of it. Like, I remember there was a certain point in the beginning where, I mean, you came to me first, was like, I want to do this. I don't even care what happens.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you started telling me, like, I get it. Like, I can see it. What about the results you were getting from running YouTube? What made you get it? What made it click for you and understand what was actually happening?
Well, on the sales calls, every single person, there's either two groups of people that came on the sales calls. The first one is either, hey, I just came across your YouTube channel 2 days ago. Now I'm ready to buy into your program because I watched 2 days worth of YouTube videos. That was the one group of people. The other group of people are like, hey, I've been watching your content for 5 months now. And like, you just get on these, they're not even sales calls. They're just like chats. They're like, it's like a coffee conversation for lunch, because they just know you and trust you. Like there's no objection of like, are you a scammer? It's like, no, they've seen your videos. You know, they probably watched every single one, right? So that was the biggest thing. And also too, YouTube is unlike any other platform. Like as coming from TikTok, I've, you know, generated hundreds of millions of views on TikTok, but TikTok, no matter what, cannot be what YouTube is, right? So you can generate all these views, but the level of trust that you build on YouTube versus TikTok, Instagram is literally unmatched because they spend so much time with you. So even if you're making TikToks or Instagram or whatever it may be, it does not build the same level of trust as YouTube. Like if I had to only have one social media platform to drive revenue or drive, you know, traffic, whatever, if I could only pick one, even coming from TikTok, I would pick YouTube, because it's going to be substantially less in terms of volume, but they're going to be higher quality, right? Now, when you pair them together, that's where things can get fun. But if I had to only pick one social media, it's YouTube, because I was on one sales call, and this guy was like, oh my gosh, like it's great to be on this call with you. Like he was like, not sounding egotistical here, but he was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I was like, I guess you enjoy the YouTube videos. Yeah. But that comes from just like the level of trust. Like people just feel like they know you because you've been yapping to them for 4, 5, 6 hours plus, which that's a lot of TikToks. And there's just a higher level, there's a higher barrier to entry, at least so most people think. And so as a result, everyone can get on TikTok with a phone and half of a brain, whereas YouTube got to be more purposeful. And if you hire the right people, like, you know, Adam and his team, you don't have to, you know, it's being done correctly. So that's another barrier of entry in a competition. Like I seriously believe in 10 plus years from now, everyone's going to wake up to this YouTube. Like you always look back to the opportunities like 10, 20 years ago, like, oh, that was a layup of an opportunity. I think YouTube is that opportunity right now. And while it's still kind of uncool and you're like, oh, I don't want to do YouTube videos, those are the people making the most amount of money, because until everybody else wakes up as to how powerful YouTube is and not just a David Dobrik vlog, brain rot content, the opportunity is just insane.
I think that's hilarious. I one time we were filming, and it was like a longer filming session that day, and he had to take a sales call, so we took a break, and it was exactly like you said. It was 15 minutes. This guy paid in full for the program. Yeah. No objections. Yeah. But if you do get somebody that maybe they're a little hesitant, I think you have a funny way of like dealing with that. You don't really do objection handling. Like how do you handle that? If a lead does come in and they're like, they watch the videos, but they're not fully sure, like, what do you normally do?
So I literally just closed a deal this way probably 2 days ago, where I had the first call with the guy and I could just tell he kind of wasn't prepared just to make a decision in general, whether that's yes or no. So I'm like, dude, like, I'm not even gonna pitch you. Like, it's just a waste of time for everybody. Like, instead, let's reschedule this call for next week. And what I want you to do in between there is watch my YouTube videos. So what do you know? We come back to the second call and he's like, yeah, I watched a bunch of your YouTube videos, like starts like quoting different stuff, asking questions around the YouTube videos. And there were, maybe he had 1 or 2 questions the second call after he watched the YouTube videos. But other than that, nothing. He was like, yeah, cool, I'm ready. So it's like the biggest like warm up sales mechanism you could ever have. And it comes from a way of value. So anytime you get like questions too, like if someone will ask you a question, hey, just check out my YouTube. And then of course, all that's funneled around, the program and stuff like that. So it just, all my objections are in YouTube videos. So if somebody has an objection and they're not ready to make a decision either way, whatever that may be, they're just not at that spot mentally, they need more information, just go to the YouTube. I just don't objection handle.
Something I thought was hilarious was, you did sales before doing your own thing.
Oh, no.
And we always said, if they had YouTube back then, it would have been layups as opposed to this battle for your life. You're getting in there, they're trying to kick you out of the house practically. They're like, oh, scammers. Could you kind of speak to a little bit of your past experience where a company didn't have sales assets and it was all leaning just on like raw, pure sales ability, and your thoughts on one versus the other?
I'd say after being in like marketing and sales now, I've been in both of them in basically every capacity. I can confidently say like I would much rather be a good marketer, in this case marketer being content and YouTube, and have them warmed up before the call, before all this grand sales training, objection handling, because if you have the right content, which comes from YouTube, like you can't have other content, but YouTube is just, you send all the traffic to YouTube, they're warmed up there and they're within your ecosystem, they're watching great videos, they're continually being warmed up. So it's like, if you have that YouTube and that warm up process, which that's really what it is, your sales calls are going to be extremely easy, as opposed to having somebody with no warm up, no actual like pre-sales call assets, because you can do that even before they hop on the call. Hey, watch a couple of my YouTube videos. It's super helpful.
Yeah. Just to kind of wrap it up here, like where do you see things going? Because now we have gotten organic to a place where it is like healthy, it's strong. TikTok, you're getting more and more students with great results who want to willingly become affiliates and like genuinely help other people change their life with what you teach. And the YouTube is pumping strong, like 2 videos a week. We're seeing the steady increase. We're not going to do 3 or 4 videos a week. That's just insane for YouTube. You shouldn't do that. But what do you see the next 6 months? What is your vision for how this strategy plays into everything else that we're going to be doing and that you're going to implement?
Well, I think it's going to be the focal point for paid too, because even if you're buying all this paid traffic and you have nowhere, like no assets or anything to send it, like I think the world is kind of being blended between organic and paid. And so even if you're running paid and you have no content, like you just got to have sales assets behind that, which YouTube is the greatest sales asset. Because if you're running even, as we get into paid traffic, I feel more confident in the paid traffic because we have somewhere for them to warm up. So even if they don't buy right now, they're going to watch 10 hours of my content and then they're going to be ready at some point. So even if there's not an ROI right off the bat, at some point it's going to come through because we know the YouTube ecosystem works. So it's just like adding gasoline to the fire for paid. I can't imagine trying to run paid with no other assets like YouTube or anything like that, because not only that, sometimes we use the YouTube videos for like landing page, not landing page videos specifically, but just like sometimes confirmation pages or something like that, or sending them YouTube videos on the email list. Like if there's one backbone to everything, it's entirely YouTube.
Yeah, and also being the guy that does the newsletter too, like we take a bulk of that information from the massive amounts of sauce that he's dropping on his YouTube, and you can write infinite email content with that, because like the strategy, like you said before, is super tactical. And I think not only that's the way that we like to do YouTube, but it's also the way that you teach affiliates to be like very process and data oriented. So,
and that's the main thing I have the affiliates do. I have the affiliates send them to my YouTube channel. Like, I don't even have them like try to sell them in the DMs. I'm just like, oh, hey, send them to the YouTube. I know they're going to come through and they'll sometimes ask the affiliates questions, but the YouTube is the backbone for the affiliates referring into the program, which is just hilarious.
Yeah. So any final closing thoughts if somebody's on the fence about doing YouTube, working with us, what would you tell them?
I don't know what to tell you. If you have a business, whether it's info coaching, software, whatever, like content is the needle mover moving forward. Like if people, they're going to buy from people that they see constantly. So if it's between you and 3 other people and they've seen all your YouTube content, it's like they're going to buy from you, no matter if you're a business, info, whatever that may be. So like as you start to they become more acclimated to you, YouTube is going to be the driver. And while we're still at a point where most people don't want to do YouTube, they're scared talking to a camera. And even if you are, just get over it. You'll get over it when the money starts coming in. But having the YouTube, while it's not common, I don't think we're at that point yet. And so when it does get to a point where everybody's like, oh, you need YouTube to run a business, it's going to be too late. So take advantage of that. I hate to say the word gold rush, it's the most cliche thing ever, but that's what it is, because very few of your competition is going to be on YouTube. So if you do just get into it now, you're building your base, you're going to be way ahead of everybody else. And as a result, you're able to solidify yourself against your competition for a very long period of time. So like, I don't know, like the ROI, all of this has been stemmed from YouTube. So the ROI is just ridiculous. Not even just building your base of anything I want to do in the future. I'm going to start with a couple thousand subscribers and a couple of loyal people that know that I care and deliver good things. And so as a result, no matter what I do in the future, even if I leave this, go to another space, there's a backbone and a base being built that I can take advantage of. And people will already, know, like, and trust me. So YouTube is the backbone of everything. And like, if you either say, again, time, that's just not an excuse, that's not real. Money, if you're a business making any amount of money, like, I don't think there's a better ROI than YouTube.
Yeah, I think you said it best. I think we could pretty much cut there. I would want to just leave off to real quick add on to what you said, that it doesn't matter what other types of funnels or acquisition channels you have set up, whether that's paid, other forms of organic, affiliates. If you have YouTube in the mix, your numbers are just going to go up way stronger than you adding anything else. Like, pound for pound is the absolute best organic platform that anybody could be on if you're a service business owner, info, coaching, in that space whatsoever.
Especially if you have any email list too. I can imagine, like, if you're someone who has like a couple thousand email subscribers minimum and you start adding in YouTube, that would be insane.
Yeah, cool. Well, all right. Looking forward to continuing to run up more YouTube videos, and thanks everybody for watching.
Perfect. Bye. Cool.